Today is Monday, February 1st. It is 6:35 p.m. And I'd like to call the Village of Lincoln Heights Economic Development Committee to order. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Linda Childs Jeter? I'm sorry, you're muted, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tanya Chair.
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter, co-chair, is present. Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
Present.
We have 5 members present.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Mitchell, would you mind giving us a prayer for our particular meeting?
Not at all, Ms. Key.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the mercy, blessing, and grace that you have given us. Lord, we come to you tonight just asking you to bless the village, asking you to keep us well so that we may do the business of the village. Lord, we know that we are asking for your favor. Economic development is key to our community, Heavenly Father. We ask that you allow us to do what would be best in your eyesight. This we ask in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I'd like to have an acceptance of our previous minutes dated January 4th, 2021. May I have a motion?
I move to accept the minutes of January the 4th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. We'll just do a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item of business is on section number 5. We're looking at our old business. I always want to refer back to our minutes from the previous meeting. I know that we received our minutes pretty late, and I believe there was some technical difficulties earlier or mid-month in January. So we were able to get them. I think we received them Friday. So hopefully everybody had a chance to review them. One item that I did pull out, okay, I understand if you have not, but one item that I did pull out was the item that Ms. Mitchell had brought up. I believe it was under Miscellaneous Business. That was still outstanding because we had not had a resolution or an answer or a response, a full response to that. And it had to do with property at 1055 Stephen Avenue. It was the property owner, Mr. Crawford. And Ms. Mitchell was asking about any legislation or piece of legislation that may have been in effect from 2015. I know our clerk isn't here. She's ill today. She did notify me earlier today that she would not be here, but I did not get a chance to follow up on the legislation piece, Ms. Mitchell, and I'll make sure that we do get that. But I wanted to see if Ms. Powdrill had any additional information on that particular property.
Yes, so Donna was able to follow up on that. The correct address is 1054 Stephen, and a permit was issued to construct a single-family dwelling. And I think that happened in 2015. We checked with Mr. Mercer, and there was only a mechanical permit that was approved so far. And that's for exterior plumbing. The interior is not complete, and there have been no inspections since the framing inspection. So I did not get a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with Mr. Mercer in terms of next steps, but I will definitely be following up with him tomorrow.
Great, thank you, Ms. Powdrill. And Ms. Mitchell, help me remember, but I believe part of your concern was that the legislation was for a different type of structure.
Right.
Okay, and that we wanted to see what the permit was that was issued, and it sounds like the permit was requested as a single family, which is different from what I believe you said the legislation was. Is that correct?
Correct. It was it was supposed to be a business there. So, if I'm not mistaken, we, changed the zoning, made it, commercial. And, so I was just concerned because there had been some work starting to happen up there. So, we'll wait and see,
Okay.
Mr. Mercer.
So, and we'll also get with Ms. Randolph to get that legislation so that we're all clear on what was approved, and then look at what went forward, because we really need to look at that process. If someone is able to come before council and get an approval for one thing, and then go before our code group, whoever that might be, the code enforcer or whoever we
The
have in
building
place,
inspector.
building inspector, and request something different than what was approved, that could potentially be big issues moving forward. So I think it's a good time for us to go ahead and dig all those pieces out, lay them out, how the process is going to go forward. And it might require us some additional conversation with Mr. Crawford, understanding what the intent was and then what actually took place. Is that fair enough
Yes, ma'am.
for committee? Ms. Donna, I see your hand up, but I'm going with Ms. Stinson first. Vice
I
Mayor?
have a question.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there a time limit on how long it takes you to build a home or a business? Because I remember growing up, and I remember that house right up the street from the school is torn down now, but I was always amazed that they worked on it, but it was there for 30 years.
Yeah.
So how long do we have to build a house?
That's a good question.
We don't want to start selling off property and it take people 10 years to build a home.
Exactly. Ms. Mitchell, I see you. Can I go to Ms. Pope first?
Oh, sure.
Pope?
Miss Key, I wanted to ask Ms. Powdrill, did she, I was in the kitchen, so I didn't hear the first part of this conversation. Did you also mention what he called and said about the permit was issued for a single family house?
Yeah.
Yes, he did share that.
All right.
That's part of our concern, that council approved one thing. He requested a permit and got a permit, sounds like, for another thing. And then we're now kind of lingering on this process. From what I get from Ms. Stinson is we need to know, and maybe we need to start putting some timeframes in place based on what it is that we approve or we select.
Okay.
Great conversation, because as we begin, and as you see part of the agenda, we're going to begin to develop out some of this planning to build new homes. And we want to make sure that we have all these things outlined and underlined and know exactly what is expected. And the individuals who are either potentially purchasing homes or have their own property and want to build homes, they know exactly what our rules and our expectations are as well. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, so when the property was sold, when we sold it, there's always been a reverter clause. And it said that if you did not start it, and I think it was 18 months, then we should ask for the property back. So that didn't begin, Mr. Crawford did not begin to build until what, 18, 19 maybe? And I brought that up when I first came back to council. So, but I guess it's a moot situation now, but he did not begin to build within the time frame that he was supposed to.
Gotcha. So Ms. Powdrill, can we add, especially this particular project, on our list of items that we discuss? I meet for committee purposes, I meet with Ms. Powdrill weekly, and I think we share this with the team to go over specific items. And this is one that I'm very interested in, because as we begin to plan out, like I said earlier, we want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row and everybody understands the expectation, and that if we have to enact, as Ms. Mitchell said, the reverter clause, we need to be able to do so in a timely manner. This situation might be a little different because of how far he has progressed in it. So I'm not saying that we're going to recommend to go and take the property back, but I am saying that we may need to put a little bit more pressure on getting the full resolution of whatever is going to happen there. Ms. Powdrill, you're okay with that?
Yes, I'm fine with that. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. So Ms. Mitchell will be reporting back next month.
Right.
Any information that we have, and I'll send out emails as we get information so that the committee is up to speed with what's going on. And then if we have to make any recommendations to council, we'll make sure that we're prepared to do so. All right. Any more questions on that topic or that particular item before I move on? All right. Thank you. So we're going to go to new business. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to go on to new business. We talked about this at our last committee meeting. We talked about that our structure will change just slightly on how we are moving forward in economic development. Council has approved a plan for the village manager. Economic development had a lot of items within that plan. So we have pulled out some items that are being worked on now. And we want to bring the council or the committee up to speed with the topics that are being discussed and worked on and met about now. When I get down to miscellaneous business under item number C, I'm going to be looking for individuals from the committee to participate in some of the goals in just a little bit more assertive fashion, not just kind of coming to committee. We talked about it in the last committee, like having like working sessions within the committee to work on different items. So I'll let you say, hey, this is an area that I would like to participate in, do more research on, so I can be a conduit to information back to the committee. Or if not, then I'm going to make some recommendations to our committee members to ask you to sit and be part of working sessions for particular items on the agenda. Does that make sense?
So Ms. Key, when you,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, when you say a working, what do you mean working? Are you saying outside of this meeting?
Correct. Outside of this
I'm fine
meeting.
with that. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure because we can't just get something done in one committee.
In 1
meeting.
hour, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm
All
talking
right.
about outside of this meeting. Ms. Powdrill, I know her schedule is just filled. Mine's is starting to fill with economic development items, and I want to spread it out, spread the work out amongst the committee. The areas that it makes sense, if you overlap in another committee and you could be a resource of information to share with both committees, that's going to be a natural point. If not, then you say, hey, I'm not a part of this, but I would like to be a part of this. So we're just going to share across, and then we'll make a determination at our next committee what items will start to splinter off to the different committees or different committee members. Cool. We agreed that we're going to be working committee. We're going to be working committee. So we appreciate that. So the first item on our new business is not that we weren't working committees to begin with, but we're going to be more intentional this time. Is we're going to look at the economic development, the pillar. So the pillar, when we look at the plan, is actually like the topic. So for this one is housing. So I asked Ms. Powdrill to be ready to present, to give us updates on these items that we have identified as areas that we want to look at. So the first item we have is the master lot agreement. Ms. Powdrill.
Before she go, Ms. Key, before
Oh,
she
yeah.
go, can we have Ms. Pope mute herself?
Is
Because I
that
think
what it
that's the
is?
static. I think it's coming from her.
Thank you. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Okay, she just did. Thank you. Thank you, Vice. Okay, and Ms. Powdrill?
Sure. Okay. So let me kind of set the stage that the village, and I think you all are aware of this, have over 120 vacant lots. And at this point, we're not earning any real estate tax on those empty lots. We had a meeting with the Port Authority, and we had a meeting with a developer in the community that's already doing development. And the conversation centered around those lots. We have quite a few, and what are we going to do with them? My question to them, so what they want is, want us to deed the lots to them to manage. Of course, that's not what we're looking to do. And then one would like to work with us to develop the lots. They want to develop the lots. Both want to develop the lots. And so my pushback to them is that we need to do this in a way that is in the best interest of the village of Lincoln Heights. And so one of my recommendations is that we start to work with the lots in a cluster. And that means that we try to reposition an area of the community as opposed to going a lot here, lot up there, lot over there, lot over here. So we can kind of see areas start to change over time with the investment of new rooftops. So I had a conversation with Mr. Desai, and I said, Mr. Desai, if we could come to an agreement with a developer and we are looking in that cluster kind of methodology of developing these lots, could we come up with a master lot agreement with developers? So what that would mean is that we would say to the developer, you have X lots, or let's say 5 lots, and you have 2 years to develop those lots. So we have an agreement in the master agreement, and it will detail performances that they have to do in order for us to do, so we don't take back the lots. Like you did with the other gentleman, there has to be certain performances, and we would put in checkpoints, times when we would go and review, okay, where are you on this slot? Are you on schedule? Or are you not on schedule, and why not? And so that would be a document. If council is in agreement, that would be a document that Mr. Desai would draft on behalf of the village to do that. Does anyone have any questions regarding the concept of the master lot agreement?
I don't have any questions. I think it's a good idea. But I guess as you go on, I do have some other questions that I'll probably want to ask.
Okay, on this subject, because I'm
One
going to
thing-
move on to the
Yes,
next topic.
if you're still talking about master lot development. So I'll just ask the question. So do you have in mind what cluster? And
No,
would that,
No, I don't think I have enough information. I would be looking for you all to kind of say, what you think, your input, the developer's input, and the amount of lots that we have.
well, I guess my concern is that in terms of new housing, and if we have to set new specs for the lots, to me, the most economical place to start, of course, would be Martin Luther King, because we already have lots there that are, 52 and whatever, but most of our other lots are 40 feet. So that would mean we'd have to do some lot consolidation. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted to get, I would just suggest we take a serious look at finishing out Martin Luther King.
Gotcha. So Ms. Mitchell, that was an excellent point, but Ms. Padrill, before we go further, for this particular meeting, we're outlining what we have been discussing. Then we will put, i.e. Ms. Mitchell, working on that task, so you can begin molding what that agreement could look like, where you'll be working on that and then be able to present it back. So we won't use this meeting necessarily to address all those pieces, but we'll start creating this small workout sessions, throughout the week, meeting back and forth, or do whatever we need to do so that we can spend this time going over high levels. Because what I'm also going to show you, I may not be able to pull it up on my computer, but there is going to be a progress tracking tool that we'll be able to share with the entire committee how far we've come in that area. So Ms. Mitchell, I know like that, and that's something that I brought up every time I've had the conversation, Ms. Mitchell's sentiment about Martin Luther King Estate. So it's not missed, but I just think for
Gotcha.
this,
Thank
for
you.
today, we want to kind of do those high levels on where we are so far. And then we're going to get down to who can be in what area to help expedite the work that needs to be done. So it's not all in one on one plate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you. I saw your hand up, Mr. Drain. I saw your hand up too. Mr. Daniels, can I go to Mr. Drain first?
That this is right in my wheelhouse, and we can do more than one thing at one time. So you had a full resources of my firm and myself, and we can get this all done. I love where we're headed. I love the direction that Chairman Cheese is going, and I just want to say that this is the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I think we're just like right at the time that this is the right thing to do for the village. So I'm just giving my full support to the committee, and I love what you said about let's do this, let's do the details offline and come back, use the tools that are available to us, and report out within true transparency so everybody knows what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Drain. We appreciate your perspective. Mr. Daniels.
Yeah, just asking on a policy procedure standpoint on other committee, not committee members. I'm asking for the committee and for Ms. Powdrill, right? So if there was a suggestion or if we had an idea, other council members who are on this committee, like, community land trust, right? That's just something that I always think that a big fear of mine is outpricing our residents. I love where we're going. I love where we're going. Just ways that we can control outpricing our residents and putting some safeguards in place that we're not, gentrification is a scary, scary word, right? So just if we had suggestions, would that be for them to, I'm sorry, on the screen it's this way, to Ms. Powdrill, or would that be to you, committee chair, if that question makes sense?
So what I would say, and I'm gonna lean on the committee for consensus. What I would say, Mr. Daniels, is feel free to send them to me, and trust that I have had like everything that I can think of. I'm throwing it to the table. So even those items that you spoke of, we've had these conversations as well. Not that we have completed how we're going to do it. We're putting it out on the table saying, this is a topic that either we heard about, we've discussed, we want to make sure that we consider. So I would say send them to me, because what I'll be doing is I'll be driving the conversation from this committee through Ms. Powdrill, and then she'll be doing the same thing. And then whoever is on that little subcommittee, we'll make sure that everybody gets the information. And like Mr. Drain said, we'll pull it all back in full transparency to make sure that everybody is here, what has been discussed, just in case we missed something, as well as be able to give their input if they're not part of that working committee. Okay?
Madam Chair. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Childs-Jeter.
Ms. Childs-Jeter.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
will there be opportunities afforded to us at each meeting to report 5 minutes of where we are?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The goal is to keep this session kind of tight, having your information succinct, ready to go, but have already submitted the information so that we can update our progress tool so that everybody can see it prior to the meeting.
Great.
All right, we're working towards it. That's what we're working towards. We want everybody to have a part in that whole tool piece so that we can present, so that everybody feels like they are part of moving forward with economic development in our community. Madam Mayor.
Okay. Yes, Chairman Key, I'm very excited of the progress that the Economic Development Committee is going with the help of Ms. Powdrill and all our partners. As you stated, send the information to you. So I will be sending you some information as far as when we did the, because I hear us talking about the homes. So it's important for me that we bring back those homeowner workshops to get our residents ready. When we did that with the Cincinnati Realtors a couple of years ago, we did this at the health clinic. It was bad weather that day, so we did not have a big attendance. But I am gonna get this information sent out to you and those partners to try to see how we can get our residents up speed as far as credit and different things, because we don't want them to feel slighted. We want to make sure that they're prepared for these beautiful houses that are going to come throughout the village. And so I will send that information regarding from the previous workshops that we've done in the village.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And committee and members who are not on the committee, feel free to copy everyone. I mean, you don't have to send it to me as if we're in a silo. Feel free to copy and share with everyone so that everybody knows. It's a point of reference so that everybody knows that their voice is being heard and is being considered. Thank you. Ms. Powdrill, we'll move on to the next topic, tax abatement, and then we'll also move on to preferred end user mortgage.
Okay. And thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing clarity to that. This is just a top level conversation, and I know people are ready to chime in and say, "What about this?" We're doing our due diligence in all aspects of whatever the topic is, and the tax abatement idea was mine in the sense that we have all these lots, we're not earning any tax revenue from them. That if we could create a program where we can have developers come in and they are assured that there is abatement on the lot for 5, 10, 15, I don't know what that is. This is just a suggestion, a thought, or could be something that we could put in our tool belt to attract developers to Lincoln Heights. The other side to that, and Chair Key thought was, well, they're coming anyway. Do we need an abatement? So that's the kind of dialogue that we need to have, because there seems to be a demand to live in the village. And so we have these lots. So we have to talk through that process. The
Ms.
next.
Powdrill, just one second. Ms.
Okay.
Child-Jeter?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. This goes to Laverne. Have we had the tax abatement out here before?
To my knowledge, we have not, but we have, which is going to be my next question. We have not had a tax abatement for new homeowners, but we have had a good rate on the purchase of the lot. You know what I'm saying? At one point, when we first, they sold the lots for very, very cheap, very, very cheap. So I hope that we don't do that cheap as we did, but that leads to my question, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Appraisals of our property.
Yes, ma'am. That's
I know that's coming, but
yes, ma'am.
okay.
Like when we get ready to just bring the full abreast of what we have been discussing now for a month, I think you will see. Like I said, I still want to be transparent. We're not saying that we know it all. We want to make sure that everybody sees the conversations that's being had, and then bring your expertise to those conversations. But yeah, appraisals have been one of the hot topics as well. Very hot topics. Thank you. Ms. Powdrill?
The next topic is preferred end user mortgage. So I've been talking to First Financial. I will be meeting with them tomorrow to see if we can get an end user product specifically for buyers that are wanting to buy in the village. I think this would be a great place to park the whole financial literacy and how can you find some additional funding for future home buyers under this topic of a preferred end user mortgage. So again, high level conversations and not real specific, but looking to work with community stakeholders to kind of build that out for a great product for people who want to live in the village.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ms. Powdrill. Did anybody have any comments or anything on that? Remember, once again, feel free to email it and we will build that tool with all of your thoughts and all of your comments or all of your ideas. That way, nothing is lost. The information isn't lost as far as how you would like to proceed. Now, that doesn't mean that the final product, the council will approve it, but everybody will have the opportunity to have some input. All right. Thank you. Okay, so our next pillar that we're going to go to is commercial development. And we only are bringing these things out because these are the conversations that we've been having thus far. So in commercial development, we have items 1, 2, and 3, Port Authority proposal, which Ms. Powdrill kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I'll have her expand that out. Lot development strategy and community Wi-Fi. Ms. Powdrill.
And so, as I spoke before, the port has done an amazing job of identifying all the lots that we own in the village. So thank you to them for the hard work that their staff have been doing in putting that together. But one of the things that they have proposed to us, and this is just conversation. It does not mean that they will get this approved internally, but we just wanted to share the conversation is that having them manage our lots will take the burden from us of maintaining the lots. So they would take ownership of the lots, but we would have an agreement of how the lots come back to us. So that is very early stages. So I don't have much. We just had a Zoom call meeting and we did have Mr. Desai there with us, having this conversation. I kind of still am of the opinion that we have to be strategic on how we release the lots so that we can manage the growth of the village in a way that stays true to the village and the rich history of the village. So having the legacy members of the community or residents in the community really have a say in how the community begins to transform. So I'm still really on that master lot agreement. So we still control the growth of the village. And then the lot development strategy, kind of same topic there. And then the final one, unless somebody else has a question on.
Mr. Drain did have a question.
Okay.
And my comment was, who are you working with at the port?
Deborah Robb and Jessica Powell.
Okay. I know all those folks down there. I love, what you're saying about, it's easy for somebody else to do something for you, but you need to make sure that you can control your own destiny.
Correct.
The port is a great partner. I know them all, but you still need to make sure that, the village is the ultimate, authority in terms of direction. So they've got the money, but you've got the land. And God ain't making no more land, so you need to make sure that you are in control of the destiny. But the port will definitely be a good partner because they are the port of Cincinnati by the state of Ohio. So I just applaud you in terms of that, but stay true to your own and let's just make this a great outcome. But I know all those people, they know me, and I'm saying I'm here to help the village.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Drain.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Powdrill, community Wi-Fi.
And so the final one is kind of like, came up because of the question of the resident who could not get internet service in her home. And then it dawned on me, well, if she's experiencing this, who else in the village is having the same problem? And with kids learning remotely, this has got to be a big issue and be a priority for the village. So I began to talk to Councilwoman Key about this concept of a community Wi-Fi. And it's kind of just taken off in a very positive way. We are now in the stage of kind of identifying how should it be, if we can do it. Well, not if we can do it, because Councilwoman Key and I have decided we are going to do this. I would say hook or crook, but we are going to do this. So we are now talking to PowerNet. We've had conversations with GE. We've identified some points where access points, which could be very good. We have not talked about the cost. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll start to talk about the costs and the rollout of community Wi-Fi. We see this as an opportunity that can just grow into so many ways. It could be a revenue stream. It could be an opportunity for kids now to have that access. It could be the opportunity for people who want to stay at home and work. And guess what? Now, in order to get your access point, you have to come to the village. And if you come to the village, now we know we can register you as a business. So this is giving people more opportunity to stay at home and work, which I think our world is not going to go back to a lot of brick and mortar. A lot of people are going to be staying at home. And so it gives us an opportunity to now have our own landing page so we can communicate with the residents in the village. We can give out important information. We can use it as a tool to advertise. We even suggested that, hey, we can have GE have naming rights and say powered by GE Aviation. So there's so many more opportunities. And I talked to Dr. Caldwell today, and he's referring someone to me to help us walk through how we can possibly get it financed if we need to, and how we can generate revenue from the community Wi-Fi. So out of everything that I've talked about, this is the most exciting thing for me. So even though I know nothing about technology.
Thank you, Ms. Paldreau. Vice Mayor Stinson, I saw your hand first, and Ms. Linda Childs-Jeters, I'll come to you next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sign me up for that committee.
I
Thank
thought
you.
so.
All right.
I thought so.
Good job.
We had already talked about that. Ms. Childs-Jeter?
Yes, you can also sign me up for that because I'm behind the technology, and one time I was ahead in technology. But also because our children will be almost 2 years behind, we need this to happen and happen soon. So I would love to work with you on that to make that happen. I'm excited about it. You know, I don't need another thing on my plate, but I'm just extending it to a platter. So I'm ready to work on that.
Awesome. Thank
you for the opportunity.
Yes, and
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paldreau. Ms. Paldreau, she's been working from sun up to sundown. I know just even on these items, we've been doing a lot of work, and we know that now with many hands, we can make lighter work of this work. So for the mayor's perspective, we may be bringing a plan to you, Mayor, asking for ad hoc committees. It just depends on which one of these items they are. Because as was discussed in law previously, which was something new that I just learned, that the mayor can appoint ad hoc committees. So we will look at the whole scope of it to make sure, we may want to pull a non-committee member into, the
Yes.
conversation. We wanted to make it as transparent and as wide breadth as possible so that we can have greater success. We just feel like Mr. Drain mentioned earlier, our community is ripe for a lot of this work. And now we just got to put the hands to it and get the plows moving.
I'm
Sounds good to me.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
this may be a place where we can also bring in the industry that's in the community to
Yes,
come
ma'am.
on board with this.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely. If we can make it as comprehensive as possible,
Yeah.
understanding that the driving force, of course, is going to be Ms. Powdrill and this committee. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Ms. Powdrill, for that information. We will continue to strategize on that. We want to bring everybody in conversation with that. Are there any more questions or any more items from that discussion before we move on?
I just want to say that I enjoy this work, so I'm just thank you for being very receptive to allow me to kind of work through some of these issues that I think can be just amazing for the village. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to miscellaneous business. We have 4 items. A couple of them I've already alluded to. One item I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that we have been meeting with Mr. Eric Hun. He is a developer. He has his own business. He has successfully completed a beautiful home over on Chamberlain that was on his own property. He has met with Ms. Powdrill and I and shared some of his learnings, some areas in which that he feel that we could improve on and we could benefit from, which was invaluable to hear that. And he is looking to build some additional buildings. I think council is aware or committee is aware that he is working with Port, with Ms. Robb, to build those new houses, the newer ones that's going up on Jackson Street. And so he is just wanting to share his plan. I know Mayor had him scheduled. He had come to a meeting previously, but he had to hop off because of timing. So we did ask him to come back through committee. I did share that with Mayor. I believe I shared that with you, Mayor, that I asked him, that I asked him to come back to committee to have that conversation about his proposal, what his plans are. And we are hoping that he would be the first developer that we kind of try out that master lot agreement with, because we feel that he'll give us honest feedback. We feel that he'll be honest with us, and we want that, and he'll help guide what we need to do going forward for the situation where we have other developers who might want to come in and develop some of our cluster properties, or however we're going to coin them and market them. So he will be at our next committee meeting. So be prepared to not have a lot of conversations about other business items, because we want to give him a good amount of time to discuss and share, considering this is his second time kind of coming back. Okay. The next item is the Pillar Progress Tracking Tool. I alluded to this a couple times. Ms. Powdrill will be filling that information into that tool. We will start seeing our red, yellow, green progress on those particular items. We will share that out. It will be accessible to everyone. You'll also be utilizing that for the area in which you'll be working in. So you'll help put information that needs to be shared out to the team, or keep that document growing. That is a living, breathing document, and it will continue to grow. So we don't plan for that to be 1 year and we're done. We plan that to continue to be a tool that we'll use to kind of keep us on track. The other item C, we talked about goal assignments, and some of you have already identified some areas in which you want to participate. I ask that each member of this committee please select one or select something from this committee that you'd like to be involved with. If it's something that you didn't see, but you want to consider, feel free to send me an email or call me, and let's talk about it, because it might be in a future project that just hasn't been brought to the table yet. But we want to make sure that everybody is completely active in this process. Any questions so far? Okay.
You know, I'm happy.
Thank you. And this is new. I mean, this is new for me, so I'm learning this process. Ms. Powdrill is doing a great job leading. She's bringing me up to speed so that I can help lead the committee, which is my responsibility. And then as committee members, it's all of our responsibility to make sure that we can execute items on our goal and implement. And so the last item that I wanted to share with you is Mortar. Ms. Paltrow has sent us out an email maybe a few weeks ago, what have you, about the organization who is working with the Port, with Joy Pearson, I believe. I think she's with the Port. I hope that's where
Yes.
she is.
No,
Hamilton
Joy
County.
Pearson, Madam Chair, Joy Pearson is with the Hamilton County Development Corporation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And this organization has received a grant to work with the Village of Lincoln Heights and Forest Park. So they had some sessions where they were just giving out information. I was able to attend a session. I think some of the other council members attended a session. I just wanted to share that I thought it was a great opportunity for our residents. I know the mayor was there, so the mayor did ask them to come, I think, to our next meeting or council meeting, which is on the 8th. So they will be presenting in more detail on the 8th. And they are interested in hearing from all of us anything that we can add to the work that they'll be doing with our residents who want to be business owners or who are business owners but want to take their business to the next level, or, you know, and so any stage from infancy to I have an idea all the way to brick and mortar, I'm ready to go. I did do some research on the organization, and I was really amazed at what they're able to do and what they've been able to do in their success. And a lot of the businesses that are still going now, being a Black-owned organization looking to specifically impact Black small businesses within the neighborhoods, they're very excited. And Mr. Daniels was there. Ms. Tanisha Lee was there. She actually was able to share some of her experience. And we've had probably, I think, Mr. Daniels, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we may already have about 10 potential residents who are interested in being part of that cohort, Mr.
Correct.
Daniels?
That is correct.
Okay, gotcha. And so we're just collecting the information and we're going to pass it on. It's not a council-driven situation, but it's something that I support. I just wanted to share with you that I support it, and am trying to recruit individuals that you have to be a resident of the village. You have to be a resident of the village. And so I addressed that with Mortar, and Mortar is in agreement that they'll send back the names of the applicants to the village to confirm that they are a resident of the village. And the other piece that we want to kind of pull in or talk about is the process of being a business owner in the village, what that looks like. So everybody is up to speed. We don't have any, situations where, well, I didn't know I had to do this, and we just want it to be a transparent process. And then how do we support those small businesses? Mr. Drain is here representing businesses. How do we continue to pour into them after they've gone through their process? Mortar is, I guess they're a lifetime member of that organization, which is great because they'll always have opportunities to reach out for anything having to do with business. So I just wanted to share that with you just in case you didn't get that, but that's going to come up. Madam Mayor is going to be leading that from council on the 8th.
Madam Chair, I did want to thank you and Councilman Daniels. I know Mr. Councilman Daniels has been in the fold with them, and so I want to thank him and you. I am looking forward to them coming and presenting Monday. I think the young man name is Tim Allen. Was that I want to make sure I got his name right. What was his name?
I don't remember his name. I just remember Vic's name. Mr. Daniels,
Okay.
You remember his name? I don't think he heard me.
Well, just in case I messed up his name, I'm just looking forward to them coming. It was a lot of individuals there at the meeting, but I know council and our residents are going to be excited about the presentation that they're going to have for us. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Tim Barr. I'm sorry.
Tim Barr.
Tim Barr. Okay, I knew it was
I'm
Tim
sorry.
in there. I guess I've been watching too much TV, but I knew it was a Tim in there. Thank you, Councilman Daniels.
Gotcha. All right. So I just wanted to, once again, I just wanted to share, I'm going to go to Before I go to announcements, I did say at the beginning of the meeting that I will leave room for Mr. Drain. We appreciate you for interjecting your expertise throughout the meeting. We appreciate you for being here to share with us. And if you wanted to have something additional to say, this is the time which you can do so.
Okay, great. I don't want to interrupt more than I have, but I've worked with the organizations just mentioned. I know Mr. Tim. They're a phenomenal organization, and I just see them fitting so well in the village because many of us, don't have the resources to get, the shingle and the building, but they'll make it happen. If you got an idea, they can make it happen based on the way that they've done. They've got things going over at the University of Cincinnati and Clifton, and it's great to see them expanding out in the areas like Lincoln Heights. So I'm excited. I just want everybody to know that, in all my years in Lincoln Heights, I have been a brick and mortar business, and I have paid taxes. And I'm just elated to be here and I thank my sister Laverne Mitchell for continuing to say, hey, I've always wanted to do something. My business works with Lincoln Heights in terms of their Lincoln Heights Day. And so I'm just excited to be here today. So thank you very much. And anybody, I would like to do this. If I don't know whether you can see it, but Laverne, why don't you send out my contact information to all the members on the call so they can call me and I can call back to them. And I know I'm the new guy on the block and I have to be vetted. I would want to be vetted. I'm not here to do anything other than to help and grow a community that I love and respect. So please, Laverne, be sure to get my contact information out to everybody. And with that, I want to be as active as I could possibly be in Lincoln Heights.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drain. We truly appreciate our business partnership. We truly appreciate you being here and volunteering your services and so forth and so on, or being engaged with the community with our growth. Vice Mayor?
Do we have a link on our website for the businesses in Lincoln Heights? Do we have like a business page and where if somebody's looking for something, they could click on and go directly to that business website maybe?
I
Or
think
contact information? And if not, that's an idea.
Mhm.
This is economic development, right?
Yep. I think we have something there, but I think it can be built out. I think everything that we have can definitely be expanded. And you're right, Vice Mayor, we want our website to be that one-stop shop.
And I got a feeling that we're gonna have a lot of partners.
Yes.
Real soon.
Yes, you're right. Ms. Mitchell, I saw you unmute. I didn't see your hand up. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No, and I was just letting Mr. Drain know that I will take care of that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We definitely want to make sure we have that. Anything else for miscellaneous?
Yes, I have something.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Linda Peter first.
Waiting for the announcement. So back to Councilwoman Mitchell.
Gotcha. Ms. Mitchell?
Oh, okay. So this is a good lead in because this is part of something that I am talking with Mr. Drain tomorrow. He didn't know it, but since I didn't know he was coming on here tonight, it's perfect. So I just, in light of, Black History Month, I just want to quickly read the directory of Lincoln Heights Merchants Association that we had some years ago, so that we all know what kind, people say we don't have a lot of businesses, but we did. So this is how we thrived, in which we are headed again. See if you remember some of these. Crockett Radio and Electric Appliance, Smiley Grocery on Chamberlain, Aikman Grocery on Chester Road, Charlie Shaw Associated Real Estate on Wayne, Jenkins Market on Adams, Mrs. Jenkins Store on Van Buren, Lake Atkins Grocery on Chester, Clark's on Bird, Watson Ice and Coal Company on Simmons, Valley Co-op on Jackson, Empire Market on Simmons, Lyle Food Market on Jackson, Lay's Grocery on Bird, Ellis Service Station on Simmons, Valley Home Food Shop on Lindy, Crockett Pharmacy on Wayne and Stephens, and Crockett Dry Cleaners on Lindy Valley, so that's just a few of them, but I just, in light of, like I said, Black History Month, I just wanted to let people know of all the businesses that were once here. So one time we were hardly a food desert.
That sounds like a lot of food and a lot of good eating. Ms. Mitchell, I really appreciate you for doing that. I know that you are a person who always wants to go back and make sure that we remember our history and that we honor our history. So I greatly, emphatically appreciate that. And I would ask, can you send that over to us so we can look at that? I don't know if you can scan it or maybe even share it on Facebook on I got, Roots in Zone 15.
Yeah, I did put something on I Got Roots tonight. I asked what was, I'm doing it every day. It's called History Review. So today I put on, asked people, did they know what the 6 transportation businesses were in Lincoln Heights before the Metro?
Nice.
And so I think 2 people got it.
Okay.
Daryl Black, I think it was Daryl Blackwell and Ron Blue. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much.
I'll make copies of this.
Thank you. Thank you for taking that initiative. It's important. It's important for us to know who we were as a community and, help guide us to where we want to go. We have the great potential to continue to be that beacon on a hill. And that's what we're striving for.
Amen.
And so everything that we do, if we have that in our heart and in our mind and our goal, is definitely achievable. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Anyone else in miscellaneous? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, Vice Mayor.
I'm going to go ahead and mention this because I think this might be the right time. Tomorrow is the meeting for Lincoln Heights Day, and I had a vision. That's all right. I'll share it another time.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not for sure. Okay, this is what I was thinking. This is what I was thinking. Since we're we instead of trying to do things in a whole bunch of different locations, and let's keep with our little strip right there in front of the old Y, so that's not looking like the eyesore that it is at this point. If we could fence it and our banners go all the way around it, so the people see the banners of our sponsors or our Lincoln Heights emblem or our 75th or something. Can we fence around that and, cover it up? The fence will be covered up. You know how when you go to a new development or something and it's fenced in and you see that big Messer sign and you can't see through the fence? Is there some way that we could do that to make it still, we know that building is there, but still it's fenced in and it's decorated, if that makes any sense?
It makes sense to me, and I would say from this committee's perspective that we go ahead, and I think you mentioned in law to take those topics and discuss them in your Respect My Block. I would love to see that, and then come back and say to council, like, this is what we want to do, and then because this is what I want to do. I got a spirit of control. But that's why I wanted to mention it here so I can know which committee to take it to, because my thoughts when I ran this through another individual was to take it to finance because it was going to have to deal with money. But I also thought economic development, because if the port was in control of that building, then they could help it. So I'm just planting seeds everywhere. I feel you. And then we have recreation coming up as well. So yeah, let's just figure it out and talk about it. And I would like to see it. When we celebrate our 75th Jubilee, I don't want to see eyesores. So I agree. We just have to figure out a way to make it happen. Thank you. Mr. Daniels.
I have a question on policy and procedure.
Sure.
One of the roles in the I want to make sure I use the term right. The resident-led group that is pushing that is fundraising. Now, some of the residents have already been talking to certain sponsors and things of that nature. So I'm asking on a sense of process because there's nothing been official on what you're going to buy, and this is now a new item that could potentially be that you can have naming rights towards. So once again, process and procedures. If that ticket item was to already be taken care of, how would that go? So for example, I'm just, because you just happen to be here, Train, so I'm sorry for the sake of, for an example, I'm going to use you. So in the hypothetical situation, if DFS chose they wanted to be the complete title sponsor of the Lincoln Heights Day, and we're just saying that ticket item to do the fencing and the banners around it is $15,000. I'm throwing out a hypothetical number because I love 15 because obviously of our neighborhood. So if it costs $15,000, and then if once again Mr. Drain was willing to do that, what would be the process? Because now, you know, I don't think necessarily would it go into finance? Would it go into how would those steps take place? If that question makes sense.
I think it does make sense.
Sorry for using the example, Mrs. Drain.
I think it's a valid question, and
We'll go through an RFP process, right?
Exactly.
Because if I wanted to do only 15 and Able Security wanted to do 20, well, you know, it'd be up to an RFP. You know, you had to write out an RFP. People would submit to it, and whoever the highest bidder was, that's who got the opportunity for the signature event.
Gotcha. So what I want to say from the committee's perspective is I think that's better suited in finance committee. And then that way that process from our end is ironed out. And yes, Ms. Mitchell, since we have the chair of finance.
Well, I think one of the first things when you talk about process, and Ms. Stinson can discuss this tomorrow, you need to have all your needs. You need to list all your needs and then what your sponsorship levels are. And if someone wants to do, you want somebody to do this, this, and this, then you'll have that cost on there. But you have to have all your needs. So I know you all have a requested amount, but at some point you're going to have to present a budget that is itemized. You know what I'm saying? Then that way you can begin to look at it. And when you do your letters, because if you have people out in the community now getting sponsorships, well, now there's got to be a letter, and you know there has to be something that gives them credibility that they're bona fide, you know, to do this. You know, then that letter needs to be done and signed by the mayor and the manager to say that this person is, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of little things that have to be put into place. First of all, is to get that budget and it itemized and things like that, so that you know what you're working with and what to present to the people you want to sponsor.
Gotcha. Now, for the sake of this committee and for the sake of time, if Mr. Daniels, I saw your hand up, if that's a continuation comment.
It's a clarification.
Okay, wait a minute, because sometimes clarification leads to other things. So I just want to make sure that we, you know, keep it concise.
It is. I promise it is.
But I agree that we need to develop whatever that process is so that whoever is, you know, going to be working on Lincoln Heights Days Committee or working even from this year to next year, that process is understood for everybody. So there's no miscommunication. So Mr. Daniels, for point of clarification, one item.
And it's very small because Ms. Laverne, you had said that if folks from the community are going to get sponsorships on the village behalf, I just want to make sure that nobody is going to get any sponsorships right now because there's nothing to get. They're just basic conversations. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you. And I did offer to help support Vice Mayor Stinson or whoever else is working on the committee to help outline a budget. So I did offer some support to that. So I'll be planning on attending your meeting tomorrow, I believe it is, right? and trying to see how we can support, because we do want the 75th Jubilee to go off. We do want it to be very nice. And so wherever we can lend support, I believe that we all should try to lend some support to the efforts.
Madam Chair, since you were mentioning a fence, I do have some information to give you, which Ms. Powdrill can look into it. Last year, when we were, I'm gonna say year before that, when we were trying to get the testing for the YMCA, Hamilton County Planning and Development was actually looking to put a fence around that. So that's a conversation that Ms. Powdrill can reach back out, because it may not even be a dime that the village or sponsors would have to do. They were willing to do that as part of a safety measure to keep individuals from going into that building. So I would ask her, I'll get with her. Joy Pearson would have that information about the fencing.
Awesome, thank you. And then we can
Okay.
report that back to the Lincoln Heights Days Committee so that they know what to look for at that point. I appreciate that information. All right, we're gonna move on to announcements. Any announcements? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Charles Jeter.
It's not an announcement, it's a celebration.
Okay.
And because it is Black History Month, we should celebrate Black history all through the year. And I would like to celebrate Mr. Drain. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yeah, Drain, yes.
Drain, I'd like to celebrate Mr. Drain as being a Black business owner in the village of Lincoln Heights. That's number one. Number two is that I would like to celebrate the Divine Nine.
Okay.
All right. And that's because we have a sister from AKA that is our vice president. So we can say that we represent Blacks. So that's great. The third group would be my parents. And since I was waiting on something from Miss Mitchell, I'll just tell the story myself. My parents were business owners. My father built houses. I am living in a house that he built with his hands. I refuse to move out of it until I cannot live here anymore. I cherish and love what he did. He had his partners to help him build this house, but he also built a house on Congress where the Martin Luther King estate is in there. We used to own a lot of that property over there. And so we moved to where I am now, on the corner of Adams and Leggett. It's a beautiful thing to watch your parents working very hard. Something that people don't know is that he didn't have any education. He went to school one day in his brother's place in Alabama. He came from Alabama with what they call mother with. He could count, and one time I actually spelled out something and he told me what it was. I was actually talking about him, so that to me is history, because he lived where they picked cotton and he came here and he built houses. He put in the floor that is now GE. He was part of that group to pour that floor before it became GE. Then I move on to my mother because he wanted my mother to work near home. So he built her a grocery store. So we were business owners too. So, and Laverne actually came to that business to get candy or potato chips or whatever. It's been so long. Miss Key, you came too?
Yes, Miss Child.
Yeah.
Sure, that's right.
So
This
is a lot of history for me, bring tears to my eyes, because my parents were in the community and helped the community. So today I say happy Black history to them because they made history.
Thank you so
Amen.
much. I would truly encourage you, if you haven't done so already, Mr. Beasley, I think it's his name, Mr. Beasley presented to council last
Easily.
Easily. Thank you. I'm sorry. Easily. I'm terrible with names. presented to council. And so hopefully you're able to share those stories so that they can get put into that project that they're working on. Yeah, that brings memories. I don't remember your dad, but I remember your mom.
Precious honey
Yes.
buns in Lincoln Heights. They had
Yes.
the best honey buns.
Yes.
Yes.
She didn't play either. Not with all them kids in the store.
Nope. And she had a tab if you owed her something, and
That's
she
right.
collected.
That's
She
right.
would tell you, go tell your daddy, come
Bring
see
my
me. Are you?
Miss Mitchell, thank you, Miss Childs Jr. That was beautiful.
Thank
Miss
you.
Mitchell?
Yes, so great minds tend to think alike. So I think it is important that we each share part of the history, because one of the things that I had planned to do Monday was to talk about a booklet that was put together, and it mentions Mr. Daniel's father. So I think that if each of us brought something, either at the committee meetings that we have or even at council Monday, to talk about the history of your family, I think is very important. And because I was telling my granddaughter, I have a whole drawer full of obituaries. And there's no better way to tell your children about your family and who did what by going through obituaries, because they would not know them. But when you read the obituaries, it tells what the people did and who they were connected to. I think that's very important. So don't throw away your obituaries. Save them for your children and your grandchildren, and take your time to read through them, because that's how they learn about from whence they came. So I just encourage each of us to, pick which council meeting we want to share that information about our families. I think is very, very key.
Awesome. Thank
Ms.
you.
Key.
Madam,
I'm gonna have it on the agenda too.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am. And then I'm gonna call Miss Pope. I see
I
yes, ma'am.
asked that we celebrate us all year
There you
long
go.
and celebrate each other, because we too are makers
Yes,
and
ma'am.
shakers right here before each other.
I agree. Thank you. Miss Pope?
I just wanted to mention, no relation, but all the businesses that were in Lincoln Heights when I was growing up. We actually had Ellis Cab Stand in the apartment that I lived in, 900 Adams, which is where the Satterwhites live now.
Ah,
But we
That's
had
one of
Ellis
the
Cab
business.
Stand in the
Yeah.
basement.
Mhm.
That's one of the transportation business that of the
Right.
6, it was Ellis Cab, Minot, Watts,
Okay.
Larkin, Price, and the Jitney. And then of
Right.
course, Mr. Blackwell put on there all the bootleg cab drivers.
bootleg. Yes, that's right. We still got
Bootleg
those.
Part of our
bootleg was
history.
in.
I
All right,
also remember
guys, we are going, Mr. Daniels, I ain't gonna cut you off, but we are going overboard. I want to make sure everybody know that it ain't because of
I'm
the
not gonna be
committee
long.
chair. No,
No.
I ain't saying, yeah, we just sharing. This is a
Oh.
great
Oh.
time to share. Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna be long. It was just actually it was a comment from Ms. Laverne, and once again, all you guys said it, and what I think is an opportunity where I would love that we all can work together on something. And I don't know how it would work, but what there's a sign up sheet to get signed up, but there's also, I've just been we've all been just calling folks as well. We do have an agreement as council between MBK, we are MBK Lincoln Heights chapter, and our MBK Lincoln Heights folks are the ones that are making these phone calls or are doing these interviews. So this is a partnership already that resolution R20 that we've already kind of said we were going to do. So if it's possible, Ms. Joyce, if it's possible, I would love if we can put that on there and encourage all our folks to go to the Village of Lincoln Heights website to get signed up to be a part and tell their story, because we don't want it to just be an obituary, Ms. Laverne. We want that all those stories that you guys told will be living on. We'd love for it to be on the Village of Lincoln Heights website. They're going to be on the Heights movement website. We would love for it to be on the Village of Lincoln Heights, where all those stories are there forever. So you can always go there. So I would love if we can make that happen. But that was a great idea, Ms. Laverne, that you brought up. So if we can make that work, I would love to.
So Ms.
I think if we want to, yes, I think if we want to do it, give it and the amazing work that it requires and should, I think that's a long-term thing. I don't think we should just throw something of it up there, but I think it would be great to put stories in our newsletter. For right now, we can do some great stories, 2 or 3 that we can put into the newsletter, and we'll have that newsletter on the website as well. But I love that idea, and I'd like to do it in a way that shows the respect of the rich history of Lincoln Heights, and have that to be an ongoing thing, not just for Black History Month.
Yeah.
That's
So
just my thought.
I think what I also heard Mr. Daniels say was to put the sign up on the website. Is it possible that we could put a link to the sign up? Because he already has it electronically. We just need to see if we can add a link to the website so people can go to the website to sign up to be part of the recordings or what they're capturing for that project that I'm assuming is going to be released probably during Lincoln Heights Days or in September-ish. Okay.
Yeah, I want to have it released by July, and we'll be shooting far beyond just February as well. But you know, obviously February, you know, Black History Month, we thought it'd be a great time to do some shots. But
gotcha.
Yes, man, how you want it working out?
So we can have our, Madam Chair, we can have our IT administrator, if you send me the information, we can have him upload it to the website.
Perfect. Not we don't want to, I'm sorry. Okay, great. If a committee is okay with that, I think that's a great idea, because the more people can sign up to become part, the better the project I think will be. All right, any other announcements? All right, seeing no other announcements, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. You guys have a wonderful day. I appreciate you for indulging us a little bit longer in the conversation. I would just encourage everybody who had some extra pieces that you wanted to talk about, go ahead and follow up on those things.
Who did the second to that? Was Laverne?
I did.
Shirley. I mean, Jeannie.
I was looking like, who?
She know I call her Shirley all the time.
All right. Thank you all.
Talk about history.
Have a great evening.
Good night.
You too. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms.
Bye-bye.
Lee.
Bye.